When you have a corrupt indictment led by a corrupt Department of Justice, you get what just happened today, which is that a second grand jury, now in a separate city in Virginia, has also rejected the attempts by the Trump administration to indict New York Attorney General Letitia James for mortgage fraud. A Norfolk, Virginia grand jury rejected it last week. An Alexandria, Virginia grand jury rejected it today. When will they ever give up their lawless, rogue crusade to pay back the political critics of Donald Trump? That's a rhetorical question. You're here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. Linsdey Halligan, even though she's still signing documents as and impersonating, effectively, a U.S. attorney, somebody should arrest her for impersonating a U.S. attorney. She was nowhere in the failed attempt to get this indictment today. In other words, she was not a prosecutor in that room because she is not a prosecutor. Instead, a team apparently led by her number two, sort of a gray-haired guy at a semi-retirement named Robert McBride, they pulled out of Kentucky and sent him there to babysit Linsdey Halligan. He led a team. Now, he's done this before. He's been an assistant U.S. attorney. He's been, a criminal lawyer. He's worked for the Justice Department. He's in his 60s, and he can't get it. Okay, first of all, grand juries can read. Grand juries in Norfolk, Virginia, and in Alexandria, Virginia, have known, just like you and I know, about Letitia James's case and the ins and outs of it, whether they're MeidasTouch and Legal AF fans or otherwise, for the last couple of months. And so in order for a failed and failing Department of Justice with zero credibility and no shred of ethics to obtain the indictment, which is the charging document against somebody in a criminal case, you got to be able to convince a grand jury of at least 14 people that it's worth the indictment. There's an old joke that's not holding steady here, which is, a good prosecutor could indict a ham sandwich. These are not good prosecutors. These are prosecutors working within a hollowed out, illicit, corrupt Department of Justice whose reputation precedes it. So when they go in, I'm sure there was a fair amount of eye rolling in the grand jury when they found out that day that this is what they were being asked to consider. I'm not saying they ignored the evidence, but this has always been a weak case. And running around between Norfolk, Virginia, where the house at issue about the mortgage is located, and then moving to Alexandria because you're trying to find you're forum shopping, you're trying to find a better grand jury for you, doesn't seem to be working because everybody reads social media and the news. What is the mortgage fraud? No, I mean, seriously, what is the mortgage fraud? Letitia James is the New York Attorney General. She is the highest law enforcement officer for the state of New York. She has connectivity to the state of Virginia. She owns some investment property. She has one in Brooklyn. She has one, I think, closer to, in New York. She's got one in Virginia. She bought a house, a very modest house, for $118,000. Some people might be thinking, when did she buy that house, Popok? 1980? No. She bought it 4 years ago for $118,000. She took out a $100,000 mortgage. The Trump administration, and Donald Trump in particular, wants you to believe that to save $50 a month, 5 Starbucks, she checked the box to mislead the lender into believing that she was going to be using it as her second home and never renting it out. And according to the evidence that's been presented in the public by her lawyer, Abby Lowell, for Letitia James, she doesn't rent it out. There is a niece with a couple of kids that live in the house. And when Letitia James is in town, she stays at the house as her second home. Now, the banks do due diligence. They have underwriting departments to figure out what property people have and if their representations are true or not. They know that she owns multiple properties. They know that she's the attorney general. And apparently, according to the reporting, that niece that lives in the house had the proxy to sign on the dotted line all the mortgage papers. And she had the power of attorney. And it is a second home, and it's not being rented out. Where is the rental agreement? Nowhere. That's why they're not able to get the indictment for mortgage fraud, because there's no mortgage fraud. Even Linsdey Halligan, when she once was in the case, didn't understand the case. She said, well, there's a $17,000 rental payment that was made. No, there's $17,000 if the interest rate that was charged over 30 years, it was instead of 3.5%, 3%, then she saved $17,000 over a 30-year mortgage, hence $50 a month. When the holiday season rolls around, it feels like there's a party every weekend. And all those sugary drinks can really add up. Sol's out-of-office gummies offer a fun vibe with low calories and zero hangover, making them a smart alternative for holiday unwinding. Sol is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Sol specializes in delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood and help you unwind. Their best-selling out-of-office gummies were designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance creativity and relaxation. With 5 different strengths, you can tailor the dose to fit your vibe. From a gentle 1.5 milligram microdose to their newest 15 milligram gummy for a more elevated experience. With wellness at the forefront, you can feel good about what you're putting in your body. All of Sol's products are made from organically farmed, USA-grown hemp and are vegan, gluten-free, low in sugar, and federally legal. Bring on the holiday cheer and treat yourself or someone you love to Sol this season. Right now, Sol is offering my audience 30% off your entire order. Go to GetSol.com and use the code LegalAF. That's GetSol.com, promo code LegalAF for 30% off. Linsdey Halligan couldn't even read her own indictment. So now they get rid of Linsdey Halligan because what they're trying to do is re-indict with a clean indictment that doesn't have the Linsdey Halligan problem. Because Linsdey Halligan was fired by Judge Curry, who sat by designation in the Eastern District of Virginia, having found her to be illegally appointed. And because they found her to be illegally appointed, she also tossed the indictments that she obtained, almost back to back. James Comey, former FBI director, and Letitia James, New York Attorney General. Comey for perjury in front of Congress, and then this made-up fakakta, that's a legal term, you can look it up, fakakta mortgage fraud case. They go without prejudice. For Comey, it's probably the end of the line because we're out of time to prosecute the perjury charge. And if the indictment was no indictment at all because it was issued from an illegal U.S. attorney, effectively somebody impersonating a U.S. attorney, that piece of paper is not recognized as an indictment, and the statute of limitations has run for Comey. For Letitia James, they still have time, probably another few years to get the indictment. But in order to get the indictment, you have to have some sort of credibility in front of grand jurors, and this Department of Justice doesn't. See, people are watching, and all of the bashing of the rule of law and all of the bashing of federal judges and all of the defiant behavior and the open defiance of federal orders and the contempt of court and the criminal contempt of court proceedings are all piling up against the Trump administration. And people are watching and they're voting. We know they're voting. And the grand jurors are voting. This is just a continuation of a series of elections that have gone terribly for Donald Trump, starting 3 weeks ago with election night in America with 30 seats flipping and winning from Pennsylvania down to Mississippi for the Democrats. Fast forward, you've got brand new Democratic mayor-elect of the city of Miami for the first time in 30 years, a blue. And you have this new vote of the grand jury. And let me just tell you, they have been shuffling back and forth between Norfolk, Virginia and Alexandria, Virginia, trying to whipsaw this indictment into being, all with no success. Liz Yusi, who used to be in the Eastern District of Virginia as a head of the Major Crimes Unit in Norfolk, Virginia, wrote a memo to Linsdey Halligan telling her there's no mortgage fraud case here and she should not bring it, and got fired because of it. And there was already a grand jury that looked at these issues and did not indict in Norfolk, Virginia. So Linsdey Halligan runs to Alexandria, Virginia, and gets her indictment. Lord knows what she told him in that room. The judges that have seen the grand jury transcript of what they were told, like Judge Fitzpatrick, who's a magistrate judge in the Comey case. And others said that in the Comey case, Linsdey Halligan violated the Fifth Amendment rights and Sixth Amendment rights of James Comey in just the way she presented it to the grand jury. Lord knows what she did with Tish James. We haven't even seen the grand jury transcript yet. So those indictments are gone. So they run to Alexandria, Virginia. Now they run back last week to Norfolk, Virginia. And I report here and on Legal AF, the YouTube channel, I report that grand jury did not return an indictment. And I said they're not going to stop. They tried 5 times in the District of Columbia to indict a protester who got pummeled by ICE and federal officers, and they tried to indict her because she pushed back. And a grand jury wouldn't do it in DC, and they had to go off on a misdemeanor charge on her. So I knew they were going to try again. And a week later, boom, Mr. McBride and his team go run into Norfolk, Virginia, and in Alexandria, Virginia this time today, and they run up against the brick wall because their case should not have been brought. It violates the Department of Justice manual, which says you should only bring a case. You can only bring a case when you have good faith belief that you will meet a probable cause burden to demonstrate that a crime has been committed. And will be sustained through appeal. And they have violated that principle in going after Tish James and violating the principles of federal prosecution. So a warm embrace and a thank you to the grand jurors in Virginia, wherever you may be in the Eastern District of Virginia, because they're playing a shell game here. Today, Alexandria, tomorrow, Norfolk. It's coming to your town soon. And when they try it for the 3rd time on the same mortgage fraud case, I expect the same result. No true bill of indictment. This is an example of the American people standing up in the criminal justice system for law and order against a rogue, lawless Department of Justice. I'm Michael Popok. You're here on MeidasTouch Network. Slide over to Legal AF YouTube. No outside investors, no paywall, just you and me and our subscribers. Hit the free subscribe button. Check to see if you are subscribed. And those numbers alone give us the street credibility we need and the growth that we need to go into 2026 and help take back our democracy. We're not Democrats and Republicans or independents. We are lovers of a democracy that we want back. I'm Michael Popok. Until my next report. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.